Hey, what's up, y'all? How's everybody doing? You know what it is. Another episode of the Just Typing Junior podcast. First and foremost, hope you guys are having a great Monday and hope it's going to start off a great week for you. The weather's starting to break. Memorial Weekend's coming up, so I know some people probably got some plans and things of that nature. I know last weekend it was a scorcher, you know what I mean? Like 90 something degrees, 94, 97 degrees. So it's definitely hot. But it is pretty cool that summer's right around the corner and that, the weather's finally breaking and, we can get on to our summer activities. But first and foremost, if this is your first time listening, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day just to listen for your very first time. And if you're a usual listener, what's up? Thank you for continuing to support. And remember to follow the YouTube page at Just Ivan Jr. Also on Instagram. So like, comment, and subscribe. Also subscribe on if you on Apple Podcast or Spotify. You know, if sometimes you rather listen than watch, so add and make sure that you're subscribing and get the bell, things of that nature. Or follow the Facebook page, Just Ivan Junior Podcast on Facebook. Follow the page. Like, comment, and subscribe. And also, guys, make sure if you're watching it or listening to comment, and because I want to hear you guys' opinion on the videos and things that I make too. Not that you're just listening to me or whoever I bring on here, but I want to hear you guys' opinion on what we talk about too. So leave a comment, say something, leave some comments, add your opinion, your take, things of that nature. Like, 'cause I like to read. I like to read that stuff and see where everybody else is thinking and what's going on in their head and see where everybody's at as well. So just want to throw that disclaimer out there as well and continue. I'm gonna start continuing to do that. Just to remind you guys, make sure you're commenting and saying, what your opinion is about the topic or what you took from the videos and things of that nature. So just wanted to put that out there. So this episode 35, if you want to be your best, you have to remember to rest. Now I know it's a kind of corny. Okay, I get it, it's kind of corny, but I think this is an important topic because I feel like rest is something that is overlooked. Like, resting is important, and I feel like sometimes in our culture that rest can seem lazy, or rest can be looked at as, oh, you're not working hard enough and things of that nature. And I kind of want to talk about how important rest is because a lot of us, we're at a point or a brink of burnout, right? We're at a brink of we're doing too much or we're working too hard or working too many hours and you're giving yourself to many different people depending on what you do in your job to the point where you're about to be burned out. You're not going to be a benefit to nobody. So I kind of just wanted to talk about that for, real briefly about making sure that we are resting and why it's important and making sure we're keeping in mind of that. Because I just think we living in a culture in a society right now where it's like, oh, if you're always busy, then it's a good thing. You know what I mean? Or if you're like, even when you haven't seen somebody in a while, hey man, how you doing? How you been doing? I'm good. Like, what you been up to? Oh, I'm just trying to keep myself busy and things of that nature because it just sounds productive. It doesn't sound like you're lazy. It sounds like you're happening, you're moving. And I've been guilty of saying these things too. So I don't want to get a bit construed. Like, I said these things plenty of times, right? But on the brink of it, just to me, just after a while, when I think about it, it just sounds kind of crazy. I'm like, why do we have to appear so busy all the time? I think that's the first problem on this. Why rest is overlooked or not as important because we want to seem, or if we're not doing something, if we're not have running our own business, or if we're not working all these different hours, or if we're not trying to evolve and do all these different things, then you're going to be seen as not doing much or lazy or whatever. The list goes on and on. And then sometimes we'll hear from like these celebrities and things of that nature talk about, oh, I got, I only sleep 2 hours a week, and successful people don't go to sleep, or you need to be spending all the time you can doing X, Y, and Z, right? Now granted, I will say there is a lot of truth to what they're saying, right? Like, as far as waking up early, because if you do wake up early and start your stuff earlier, the earlier you wake up, the more you can accomplish during the day, right? Or, they say to really master whatever craft or art that you have, you really have to spend like 10,000 hours or something like that, right? So I get that. I get all that, right? That stuff is important. But there's also times when these famous people, they be staying up all these late hours, uh, getting seizures, stuff is happening to them because they stayed up all these late hours and overworking and things of that nature. Then they're because your body will start to break down, right? Your body, whether your mind breaks down first or your body, one of those two are going to break down, or both are going to break down after a certain point, no matter how hard you're working and things of that nature. And it's just like, why is rest looked at as a bad thing? Like, what's wrong with resting, right? And I'm not talking about like people that like to be at home and just like to lay down and chill and things like that. We got some people who are just introverts and like to do that. I'm just talking about as far as working all these jobs. Then some people have family and kids and things of that nature. Like, why is rest looked at so weirdly or differently or lazy and things of that nature? I feel like we need to get out of that and encourage us to rest a lot more because there are people that might be watching that's on the brink of losing it, on the brink of your health is really, really bad, right? To the point where you're overworked or doing too much and your health is really bad. You're not sleeping right because really you're supposed to sleep a certain amount of hours because it's good for your body and you don't really sleep as much, right? And your eating habits could be off because of it. Or you're not taking care of yourself like work wise, you're not resting and it's affecting your relationships where it could be even like your spouse and your marriage. It can affect like your family relationship, it can affect your friend relationships because you're always out doing something, or you always got to be busy, or you always got to do X, Y, and Z. So, or even your own kids, like it's taking effect on even your loved ones around you because of your workload and things of that nature, right? It can get away definitely of your relationship with God, like because you're just doing so much and giving yourself to so many different things, and you can be really successful in things of what you do, right? And that's why you're so busy. You want to keep working because you're so much, you're successful and things of that nature. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing, but at the end of the day, especially this being mental health awareness. So I'm keeping the topic close to that since it's mental health awareness month. But this is part of mental health awareness to me is the fact that this is primarily about taking care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Like actually sit there and reflect for a second. When's the last time you really got rest? Or when's the really last time you just sat back and did something that you wanted to do? Because honestly, rest is not just like, okay, I'm just gonna take a nap. Find more time to take a nap. Or find more time to just lay down things like that. Rest is something rest it can be something as you don't do something work related. Rest can be something that you go out and spend time with friends and not think about work or anything else. Or you find the kids a babysitter, you drop them off your mom's house, grandma's house, whatever the case may be, and you can go out with either your friends or your spouse or whoever, and you just go out and have a good time. Like rest could be the hobby that you like to do. Spending time with the hobby you like to do, not thinking about the work and things that you have to do. Like rest isn't just taking a nap, things of that nature. No, rest is doing stuff that you enjoy and giving your body, your mind, and your soul a relaxation. How often do we do that? And I'm not talking about resting as far as going out and turning up with your friends. That's not the rest I'm talking about. That's not rest. Okay. Just going out and turning up with your friends and things of that nature. That's not exactly the rest I'm talking about. The true rest that we actually need. And you just see a lot of cases of people burning out and dropping out and just losing themselves because we're just overworked and we're in a culture where overwork is celebrated. Like why? Because that's what famous people do, or that's what these TikTok people do, or social media celebrities do. Like I'm working, I'm always doing this, I'm always doing that. You know what I'm saying? We want to seem important and things of that nature, but a lot of those people behind the scenes, we don't see it. We always see the good stuff. People always post the good stuff on social media. People don't post how is it making their body feel, how is it making their mind feel, how is it making their soul feel when they're doing all these different things, and how much of a toll is truly taken on you when you're saying yes to all these different things and not saying no and not really protecting yourself spiritually, mentally, physically on your body until it's too late. And a lot of times we ignore the red flags when it comes to that. We ignore the red flags because there are red flags that help us to give us different reminders of when we need to slow down. and we need to rest to give our body some rest, and things of that nature. Like when you think about rest, rest is in the Ten Commandments. You know what I'm saying? Remember the Sabbath day and keep holy. Remember the rest. The creator of the universe, he rested. Christ, the Son of God, God Himself, Christ Jesus, He rested. He was perfect, did everything right. Did heal people and help people and did all these different things, did miracles, all this other different stuff, right? But He still rested. God Himself, He still rested. He took time away from His ministry, the things He had to do, whether He went to the Garden of Gethsemane or He spent time away or praying in the garden or things of that nature. Like He took time away to rest. Like honestly, before He did His ministry, He took time away. Before He even got started, He took time away to rest and to pray. Right? So if Christ Himself, like if you think about it like this, if Christ is going to rest, why the heck do we think we shouldn't? Why the heck are we not doing that? Why are we not taking time away to actually rest? If Christ Himself is going away to rest, is in the Ten Commandments to rest, God's really emphasizing how important rest actually is. He's emphasizing how important rest is. So if God, the creator of the universe, is saying how important rest is, Christ is saying how important rest is, I think we should take it seriously. Why though? God ultimately knows that we need rest. He knows how important it actually is, right? And I feel like also it has something to do with control, thinking I have control of my situation, or thinking I'm in control of everything, or I have everything handled, or I can handle all this and that. I won't get burned out, things of that nature. And I've said this, I hear other people said this, and we're wrong. We don't have control of 100% of our life. We do not. And you will learn quickly that you don't in different ways if you haven't already. But we really need to rest. Because I know some of us we hold on to a lot, but some of us might be on the brink of breaking at this moment. You're at a point where you're done. You're at a point where you just had enough. You're at a point where you just feel like you just had enough. And it is hard because some of us might have a problem saying yes to everything, or some of us might have different business ventures dipping in here, or some of us might work and have a huge family and kids and things of that nature, right? Like we have stuff and things that are going on. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we're getting rest for ourselves, right? Because ultimately, it's our responsibility. We can't depend on other people doing it for us. Even your loved ones, you can't depend on them getting rest for you because certain people, depending on what you do and who you are, what role you play in people's lives, your job is to pour into them in some way, right? Your job might be to pour into them, right? To the point where a lot of us is on E right now, right? You can't pour, you heard the old phrase, like you can't pour from an empty cup. So we have to make sure we're doing things to make sure we are getting filled up ourselves, or we're making sure we're getting the rest of the things that we need in ourselves because we're not going to be a benefit to anybody if we don't. You're not gonna be able to pour to people in an empty cup, right? That's the hint of the title. If you want to be the best, you know what I'm saying? If you want to be your best, make sure you rest because it's important and we need it. We really need the rest, right? And make sure we're handling our different things. Like honestly, even if you're going through a tragedy thing, whether you're going through a storm or going through something really crazy at the moment, rest is one thing to keep in mind that you need. Your body needs rest, even in that, right? And sometimes we suppress things by work and overloaded things and keeping things distracted, right? And we're holding on to so many different things that we're overly working to suppress something that we don't want to deal with. A lot of us do that a lot. And really, suppressing is just putting a band aid on an open wound. Pretty much like, say, you got a big gash on your arm and it's deep. And you need to go to a doctor or go to a doctor to really clean it out. But Instead of going to a doctor and getting what you really need and actually going and getting it fixed and getting it sewed up and cleaned up, we rather just put a band-aid on it because it hides it, right? But putting a band-aid on it don't actually fix the problem. It just hides it momentarily, but it's still leaking, it's still infected, it's still things can happen. And a lot of us, we rock band-aids all the time. We rock band-aids everywhere we go. We rock a band-aid instead of going to where we need to go to get fixed, to get help with the problems we have, right? And I'm not gonna sit up here and cap and act like it's easy. Of course it's not easy, depending on like what the situation is and what you're going through. But a lot of times we do have pride and we don't want to get help right away. Or we don't want to admit that we need help, especially this is an issue for a lot of men. We don't want to. We don't want to admit it. We don't want to see weak and all these other different things. We get the stupid stigma when it comes to that. But a lot of us, we rock band-aids too much, man, and we can't be rocking these band-aids. We got to actually take this band-aid off, stop hiding these things, and go to the right people for us to help ourselves, right? And we need to learn how to rest, right? And one of the main people that can help us give us rest is Jesus Christ, right? And there's a verse John 16:33, which, matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up on here real quick. Share my screen. I'm only going to share one verse real quickly. I ain't going to be, shoot. Give me a second. All right. Give me a second. All right. It's going to be a John 16:33. Pull this up real quick. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get it. That's the spot. All right. So, hold on, my Wi-Fi trash. Hold on. Come on. All right. Okay. So this is Jesus talking to the disciples, right? And he's pretty much giving them a word because the disciples have. Oh, what the heck? Hold on. I'm tripping. Okay. Lord have mercy. All right. Okay. So disciples have a lot of grief, and Jesus is giving them some words here to help deal with their grief. And if you read this whole chapter is actually pretty dope. But in 16:33, this is towards the end of this chapter, in chapter 16. And Jesus says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Okay? So I'm saying this is because a lot of us, I mean, and when it comes to like resting and things like that, there's a certain peace that we need to have to know that in our situation in our life that we can actually rest and be peaceful with the decision that we make. That we can have peace, that the rest that we actually do need for our soul, our mind, and our body involves peace. It needs to have peace with that. It brings peace when we have rest. Rest does bring peace. And sometimes we don't think about rest as in peace. And Jesus is saying, in this world we'll have trouble. We will have trouble in the world. A lot of us have trouble. Grew up with trouble, maybe dealing with trouble right now, and trouble comes in different forms, shapes, and sizes, right? And Jesus, he overcame the world. Like Jesus is the one that can give us the peace. He said that may have peace. So we need to have peace in Christ, and Christ is really the one that can give us that peace. He's the one that can give us that peace that we need. So that way we can have confidence to rest and trust Christ that, trust him, give it to him. You're like, what, Lord, help me to have peace in the situation. Help me to find rest. And in the midst of my rest, give me the peace that my mind and my body and my soul and everything that I need right now to be replenished and be refreshed. So that way I can still be pouring into people accurately and effectively and not pouring in people from an empty cup. So once we do that and include Jesus, right, first in how we get rest and go to him first and give it to him, he can give us the peace that we actually truly need to in our rest and the rest that we actually need, right? And then, we talk about going to therapy. Going to therapy is help. Is a great thing to do as well. Go to therapy. Go see a therapist. Uh, Make sure you are to have a group of people in your life that you're talking to that you can vent out and things of that nature. Start prioritizing rest. There's nothing wrong with prioritizing writing a list down and resting and picking the time to rest to go do an activity where you're not focused on work and things of that nature. Prioritize things, right? Because I know some people might like to use the prioritize excuse, but at the end of the day, we prioritize everything else. Like there's people that prioritize binge watching hours of Netflix shows and prioritizing shopping and prioritizing all these other different things. You can prioritize rest. Rest is something that can be done, but it's up to us to actually do it. We gotta be the one that actually is willing to make time to rest and actually see it's important. We gotta make it because no one's gonna do that for us, right? And rest is something we really need. And I remember right in like 2020 when the pandemic and everything happened, and it was crazy because we never experienced anything like it before. So everything shut down, and people worried about how work and money and stuff like that. And even in the church world, it was crazy because the church never experienced nothing like that. I don't know how to do youth ministry and all these other ministries and help people deal with people in the midst of a pandemic and connecting with people and it was a lot to deal with. Like I never worked more harder in ministry at that time than any other time in my life. So dealing with that and dealing with my other job and wondering where we're gonna get paid and things like that, dealing with that stress, uh, in the midst of the losing family members and loved ones during that year, going to funerals and not really being able to hug on people and things of that nature. Uh, Me being even an extrovert around that time, like being stuck in the house in isolation, it was bad, like really bad for me, like because I mean, granted, when I'm going through something, I like to isolate anyway, but I had no energy to even like try to connect, and it was just hard because I wasn't around people. Yeah, I had my family around me, but it was just like I was confined, and I was slowly, drowning in my stuff. Then mom dealing with cancer and stuff like that, and my depression starting to overcome me and things of that nature, and me being up all hours of the night. I barely got any sleep the whole entire time, like because I'm working, like working harder than anything, reading everything I can, trying to do everything I can, work, like all these different hours. At the point is messing up my sleep. I can't even sleep. I even try to take melatonin and stuff like that. It was like really, really bad. And then it got to the point where I ignored all the red flags and things of that nature to the point where my body actually gave out on me, like towards like in like September. My body actually gave out on me. Uh Thank God I wasn't driving or anything like that. And I was around some people, but you know, uh I just passed out. Like my body totally gave up on me. I just woke up on the ground and then people around me like asked me if I'm okay, calling the ambulance, get my vitals done and things of that nature to the point I was calling called my mom, told her what happened. I was bursting out in tears, like, because I was holding so much stuff and working so much and not resting and not going to Christ properly like I should have. Honestly, I wasn't. I tried to take hold of everything in the pandemic and all the problems and everything I was going through in my life at that time. I tried to take it all on my own and do it all on my own and not include Christ in what I was going through and not include him first, really. I was trying to, and I was stepping in the way of what he was doing and got my point to the point where I was stressed and got to the point where I was really, really depressed and really low and to the point where I wasn't sharing or telling anybody about it. I was just, dealing with it on my own and handling it on my own and not really trying to express it on my own. And, it got to the point where my body gave out on me and passed out. And, it could have been worse. It could have been a worse situation. I could have caused myself to harm myself purposely and things of that nature because of how depressed and low that I was. And when it happened, it kind of, it woke me up. And it's something that I needed. And, I broke down and I just thought about what I didn't do right in the situation and, what everything that, I dealt with and my family dealt with during that year. And, it really taught me to make sure that I'm prioritizing my rest and doing everything it takes to be rest. Because, I know people expect certain things out of me and to be a good, to listen to their problems and have the right answers, even though obviously I don't know all the right answers clearly. But, to say the right things, do the right things, and to be there for them and things like that. But I'm not going to be a benefit to anyone unless I'm making sure I am resting and I am refilling my cup and I'm doing the right things, right? And also have to learn to put up certain guardrails, saying no to certain things. Like if I already had stuff to do, say no. I can't do this. I'm sorry. People they get mad offended, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, and there's nothing wrong. Like I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with them. But at the end of the day, they're not thinking to look out for you spiritually and physically and mentally through your body. That's up to me and my job to make sure I'm doing everything that I can to um take care of myself and get the rest that I actually need. So I just want to encourage you guys, whoever is, in this moment that's pretty much broke or pretty much like done or pretty much like, bruh, like I feel like I'm about to be burned out, things of that nature. I want to encourage you at this point, you need to start being selfish for yourself. And I know that's kind of actually more kind of sounding kind of weird, but you need to be selfish for yourself and you need to go to God. Give God the things that is out of your control. Stop trying to take over what he needs to do. Do your part, of course, and do what you need to do, like prioritizing your rest and cutting off certain things and doing the right things and things of that nature. But stop trying to handle everything on your own and thinking you're Superman or Superwoman or whatever. And we're not. We need to start prioritizing rest and prioritizing it and making it a priority, right? And it's okay to say no. It's okay to not do that. It's okay for help. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to rest. It's okay to sleep in sometimes. It's okay to hold off on some things and spend time with your family and loved ones and rest with them and go out and have some fun or go out and do something relaxing, right? Like, don't listen to what culture and society says about, oh, being, you always got to be busy. You always got to do this, blah, blah, blah. Like, who are we trying to impress? Who we trying to seem cool for? Because the same people we try to look cool for and trying to impress don't really care about our spiritual, mental growth and our physical growth anyway. They really don't care. We trying to impress people and worry about things that don't truly matter. But go to the one that actually cares about us the most. That's God. Go to the one that can actually help us with our problems and issues. That's God. And also your therapist and people in your life can also help as well. But we need to rest because if we want to be our best, we do have to rest, y'all. And rest is important. Very, very important. And don't let culture, society, wherever you in, tell you any different. So take that rest, prioritize that. And you'd be surprised how much of a 180 your health does, your mental health does, and even you spiritually in your relationship with God when you give it to Him and you let Him control the things that's out of your control and trust Him with it and just do your part and don't try to handle everything on your own and prioritize that rest and you be surprised on that burnout feeling going bye for the most part. So I don't want to talk too long, so that's all I wanted to share with you guys today. Because I know this rest is not the coolest thing to talk about sometimes, but or we need to seem like we're busy and popping all the time, but making sure we're taking time to rest because really that's important. Most important thing we could do for ourselves, especially for our mental health. And since this is still mental health awareness, and we're trying to take this more serious, so let's just making sure we're resting, y'all, because it's important. So. That's it. Let me know what y'all think. We out. Peace.